Lou here with the third and last part of nurturing a college or university game club. Meetings. Remember, no meetings, no club, which often means no place to meet, no club, or sometimes no publicity for the meeting, no club. What kind of meeting places can you look for? Well, rooms provided for club meetings by the school are the best, and they're usually free to official clubs, but availability varies greatly. And the scheduling can be haphazard, to say the least. In other words, it's hard to get your meetings scheduled because the people doing it are not doing a very good job, or because your club is kicked out because something else needs a room and you're just a game club, and so forth. Classrooms are a possibility, but not very good. They often lack tables, they tend to be small. The only advantage is that they have black or white boards, but you don't need those much for a game club. And another possibility is student union open areas, such as a food court. This may be ideal if there's a suitable place with largish tables. What about meeting times? Well, I've seen these all over the map. I've even seen bi-weekly, that is, every 2 weeks. And that might work well if you don't have very many members and you're trying to get everyone to show up so that there are enough players. If there are only half as many meetings, they're more likely to show up at each meeting. But weekly is much more common. There are pros and cons for Friday evenings, Saturday evenings, weekday evenings, Saturday afternoons, Thursday evenings, and so forth. I happen to think Friday evenings are very good, although I could see that meeting on weekdays could be even better. I've seen times starting as late as 8 p.m., ending as early as 9:20 p.m., starting as early as 3 p.m., and ending as late as well past midnight when the facility closes. So you have to decide what's good for your particular group. Ask people. What kind of games? Well, clubs vary in the kinds of games played. Some clubs are strictly one kind, or they accommodate several kinds. Tabletop clubs whose members are much older than students, for example, usually are playing Euro-style games. Others may play party family style games, role-playing games, though there's a noise problem in meetings, board and card games, collectible card games, even miniatures or other things. And what gets played varies a great deal with the particular circumstances. You can also have generation gaps in clubs. For example, baby boomers like me were often wargamers when young and may still be. Gen Xers often play video games and games where they're the lone hero or go it alone, which turns out works well with parallel competitions, multiplayer solitaire, such as Euro-style tabletop games. So these are people who are well over 30 now. Millennials, the younger generation, Gen Y, are into cooperation and stories for role-playing games and story games. Collectible card games work for Xers and Yers, but not for boomers. I see a lot more Yers playing, but it started with Xers. When you mix generations, the result may be what appears to be cliquishness, but it may actually be because of the generational differences in game preferences. Even people of the same generation, if you have a club where it plays board and card games and role-playing games and CCGs, you'll find that some people only play the role-playing games, some only play the CCGs, some only play the board and card games, and you get separate groups within the club. Some people will cross over, some won't. What about money? To obtain games, clubs need money. Although sometimes you can get publishers to donate. When a club has a lot of money, infighting can follow and can ultimately destroy the club. Official student clubs can often obtain student government funds. At NC State, dues are voluntary with all money spent on games, and that seems to work very well. Some clubs charge no dues at all and rely entirely on student government funding and on donations. So, Many clubs have a game library. Unfortunately, sometimes things go wrong with that. At University of Florida, one club got student government funds, but as a result, their games didn't belong to the club, they belonged to the university. They were kept at an info desk in the student union, and anyone could check them out at any time. So there were worries about loss of components or the games not being available when the club meeting was occurring. At NC State, when the student union was remodeled and extended, the entire club game collection was lost by the union, hundreds of dollars worth of games. What about a faculty or staff advisor? Well, ideally, a club wants someone of that type, and you hope the advisor has more pull to help solve problems that may arise. Yet clubs I know of rarely have an advisor except where I was faculty and advisor. Some problems with clubs: infighting among the officers, especially if there's much money involved, but more likely simple neglect. Most college university clubs don't last very long because the officers lose interest and bail out, or cannot, or more likely don't try to find replacements when they graduate. At University of Florida, the largest official club suffered officer loss of interest twice in about 5 years. Whether it will recover the second time, I don't know. On the other hand, at NC State, it's not happened in 10 years. Keep in mind, all you absolutely need is a location for meetings and someone who's in charge. If you've got that, you can have a club. Thanks for listening.